The Trust Radio Network is fired up and ready to go. We hope you are as well, too. Remember, like, share, subscribe, and tell all your friends about Open Tax Advocates. 312-664-6649 or visit chicagotaxteam.com. It's going to be your hub to fight the IRS.
Tell them who we have today.
We have a fantastic guest, a fantastic attorney, Mr. Nishay Sanan. He's going to be giving all of his legal insight for some of the top legal issues of the day.
I might have some wisdom this time.
Yeah, well, that's
Maybe.
what we're looking for. So I'm going to cut my mic, and we're going to jump right in, ladies and gentlemen. Again, we are here, we are live, and we are ready to go, okay? I'm going to figure out how to do this. There we go.
That was an excellent introduction.
It was an introduction.
For a live introduction.
For a impromptu.
Well, impromptu, and he's been building that for how many months have you been off the air?
It's been some time.
He's been building. Frustration.
I want to thank everybody because it has been a little bit of time since we've been on the air. The last one I did was kind of a disaster. Not because of the guest. The guest was perfect. I just had technical issues, and I had the
flubs. You flubbed.
I did have flubs.
Well, but we're back. No more flubbing.
And whenever, I think when I started last time, my first guest was Nishay Sanan.
That's right.
And I think one of my last ones on the radio was Nishay Sanan.
It happens.
And now, in order to go forward, I want Nishay Sanan.
You had to bring me back just to make sure it's fake.
So he's like my favorite trial and error. See what I did?
Trial. I am a trial, and I am a lot of error. That is true.
See what I did there? And so we're going to have a lot of fun because Nishay always has fun whenever we have him on, and
we can use bad words
and we
now.
can use bad words
because we're being honest and real.
And we can talk at length. We won't have interruptions.
No. Unless
Jimmy interrupts us. He turned off his mic, but I always like the producer to be involved in the show.
I agree.
Occasionally.
Especially Jimmy.
Yeah.
Well, remember, there's a little bit of feedback given that you're talking into the mic
well,
as well.
It,
so we're trying to cut and trying to really lay down.
But that makes it three-dimensional, Jimmy.
Yeah. It does. I don't think the audience is necessarily too happy there. But hey, Nishay, let's give a little breakdown. Let's a little bit about you if nobody knows who you are. I know you. My attorney knows you because he is my attorney.
Because I'm free to him.
You are free. It's family free pay.
So that's you get the first.
I do his taxes too,
So did you pay for anything here?
Who does your taxes?
Hey, this is why we got him working. You got to work off that. You got to work off that fine.
Yes, that's true. We'll talk about that later. But anyway, let's get a little breakdown, Attorney Nishay Sanan. Tell us about yourself.
So I am a federal criminal defense attorney, securities fraud, and now a big crypto attorney in the SEC side and the criminal side. It's taken an upswing ever since Mr. McAfee was found dead in his prison cell. So almost 30 years of representing the best of the best.
Yeah, that was good. You hit that market because of
John McAfee.
Yeah, that's good.
Because he was one of the first publicized cases.
So talk a little bit about your experience with John McAfee because people don't know. So why that is. What was your connection with him?
So I was referred to John McAfee by his civil tax crypto lawyers because crypto tax picked up big. And all of a sudden we knew there was a indictment coming out of the Western District of Tennessee for taxes. And then a big pump and dump indictment for a new coin that he was hyping out of the Southern District of New York. Yet he was caught in Spain trying to get from one flight to another. And as soon as the extradition process started, I got brought in to help out his Spanish lawyers. So I had a eye-opening experience to first John McAfee and number two crypto fraud or crypto pump and dump, which is really no different than a stock pump and dump.
Any other kind of fraud? Yeah.
Well, the pump and dumps. It's where someone buys up all the shares, rakes the price up, sells everything, and then it crashes. And they get their money out.
Yep.
But it was all allegations. Nothing was ever proven.
And of course, they didn't get a chance to prove it.
No, because they killed him in the prison.
I want people to understand, Nishay, that you have this not only connection with McAfee, but you represented some J6 people.
I'm still representing some January 6ers. Went to trial, had the best result after trial, got not guilty on a couple counts, and still got my client's probation, and he was an ex-Chicago cop. Yeah. And I have a few more that'll probably go to trial later on in the year or early next year. Some political corruption within the city of Chicago. Not that there is any political corruption.
Allegedly.
Well, it's all fake. It's all a scam.
I've been thinking a lot about you, Nishay, because...
You missed me.
Well, I did miss you, too.
It happens.
Although I just wanted to party at your house.
That's true. Well, we've done a lot of that while there was no shows.
But why I missed you is, I keep because all the Trump stuff that's going on, all this federal court, and how and of course we've talked a lot about this, about federal court and how your impression of prosecutors and how sometimes they're not on the up and up.
Ethical. I like to use the word ethical because they always say defense lawyers are never ethical, but no one ever questions the ethical standards of a prosecutor because they would never do anything wrong, right?
Exactly, and we talk about their success rate.
Right.
Is it because they're such great attorneys, or they only go after people who are guilty, or it's because of they
create cases. You got to remember the difference in the federal system and state is they're investigating you for 4.5 years before they charge you that 5th year. So they're up on your phones, they're following you around, going through your garbage, rummaging. So they're building a case, and then they still cheat, steal, and lie to get the conviction because it's always about conviction, not what's real.
And that really troubles me, right? And of
troubling.
course, when people see it now, it's like I love when he's a convicted felon. It's like, yeah, well, when you set it up for him to be a convicted felon, he's a convicted felon.
If there's a guarantee to be a conviction, you are convicted. There is no ifs or buts about that. When you stack the deck, and then you get up there and make up shit. It's going to be a conviction. It's a persecution, remember? In the federal system, it's a lot more persecution. It's not just even Trump, but almost all the big players.
This is why I've been thinking about you, because I say now Trump gives us all this attention about what's going on, but there's a lot of people get railroaded.
Yeah.
And
this just got exploited because he's Trump. It's the same type of charge that would bring against somebody else, but the reason now it's got this much attention to see how corrupt the system really is, it's because it's Trump. And what he's saying is not wrong. And they try to gag him from saying it because they don't want this to get out. The system is flawed.
Isn't that something? The system is flawed.
The system is flawed.
And government attorneys, so they like
Sounds like a moment from Pink Floyd.
Yes.
Should we be smoking some pot in the background? Should we have some smoke coming?
It's legal.
It is in this office.
If I do that, you want to see the production value go way out the window.
I bet we'll have. I bet the special effects.
Are you kidding
will
me?
be great.
We'll get like flying elephants. And stuff.
It'll be
flying
like
pigs, Jim. Flying pigs.
Oh, you're right.
No, it'll be like remember those old Black Sabbath videos where it looks like the color fading in and out.
Paranoid.
Yeah, it'd be
like Attorney Stephen Lane.
That shit was new. That was techno.
That was tech back in the 70s, man. Late 60s,
before MTV.
When the lights are all going in and out, it looks like these guys.
And the camera flashes in and out, like zooming.
And the funny thing is, it was a guy running back and forth with the camera versus now where they just zoom and unzoom.
Yeah,
the zoom back then was a guy.
The camera was like 75 pounds.
Yeah.
Too,
and the guy carrying it was about 100.
Absolutely.
Running back and forth.
Yeah, but he was heavy then. It was a heavy 100 back.
That's right. There's a coke fueled cameraman. So that's why those videos turned out so great. I think we should do a show on that.
I think we are.
Well, right now, Jimmy's going to start light up, and we're going to see how this goes. It's called choking. Isn't it called choking?
What do we? Elon Musk?
Moving, chiefing, running the gauntlet, setting it sideways.
Smoking the reefer?
Yeah.
That's old school. That's our age. This is Jimmy's a little younger than we are.
I still like to use it.
Look, but I'm old too. I'm in my 30s. And
wow.
It was funny. I have I know, older thing. I had a good comedian, funny comedian, kind of broke it down going, hey, if you're smoking pot still in your 30s, grow up. It's for when you're, it's between 16 and 26. My God, grow up.
And 50 and 70.
Yeah.
Well, that's medicinal. That's because we hurt too much. We kind of need a little extra kick in the ass.
But again, I've been thinking about you because of this, because we've talked a lot about this, and you've talked about your own clients, right? And your impression and so when I see it playing out on the big stage, and not only once but 5 cases,
it's a railroad job. It's a political railroad job to keep him off the ballot, and you know what? I think it's backfiring.
Oh, I think it is.
This first conviction, quote unquote conviction, is giving him more attention than I think the Democrats thought he would get.
I agree with that. And no, you know what I think it is? I think he's got more courage than they thought he did.
Right.
They thought, we're bringing it against you. We're putting you in jail, or you're stepping down. And he's 999 out of 1,000 people would have just said, it's not worth it. I'm a billionaire. I'll go on my way. And we'll leave you alone. They wouldn't have gone after him.
No.
So they leave him alone. And he goes, ex-president, lived the life. But he chose not. And again, I'm not a big trumpeter. But I have to say, I have to give him a lot of...
He's got balls.
You got to give the guy some credit. Right. I mean, and all the pressure that he's on, going through trial every day. When he gets up in front of a crowd, you don't see that.
You don't see him sweating. He's up there giving his spiel, talking like nothing's happening. You know what? He's using it to his favor.
When they thought they would keep him, it's kind of like 2016. Right. It's like, you're not spending money on advertising because you're giving me all the advertising.
Why should he?
So I'm on every station all the time.
Yeah.
It's bad it's this bad.
There's no such thing as bad advertising.
That's what I'm saying.
There's no such thing as bad TV.
Publicity.
I do have a question for you, and I really kind of want to get your insight. And now they're going after Trump's attorneys.
Right.
Now they're going to, especially in Wisconsin. I want you to opine a little bit on that. See what I did there?
That's a big word.
I know.
It's actually a short word.
Well, for him.
College for a little bit.
For Jimmy, that's a big word.
Yeah.
Opine's a part of a big word.
I thought it was just a national park, but
it has.
But yeah, just a little bit of your insight there, because again, you help people. Again, that's kind of your focus.
Well, no, they attack us all the time. They try to get us thrown off cases. They do whatever they can to dirty us up, because guess what? We're fighting, and they don't like that. They don't want to fight. There is no fair fight, first of all. They just don't want a fight where you give someone a chance. So then they take their cracks at you and they try to dirty you up and say you're involved in this fraud or this payment, pay to play, or hiding of assets and stuff like that. It's always, no matter what you're dealing with right. Government attorneys, even in the bankruptcy realm,
right. It's like when I talk to them, they say, we seem to be okay, and then as soon as I get in front of a judge, it's like
they change.
We
disagreed on.
Where did that come out? Right, yeah. Where did that come from? It's like I get thrown under the bus.
Right,
it's like
because they're crybabies. They're nothing more than spoiled little brats. You gotta realize something. They have all the power in the world. They're used to getting everything they want, and now someone's fighting.
And they do.
And it's like taking away someone's past.
But like Jim asked you, talk a little bit about that. Because what is that? That's a, what do they call it? A freezing effect, or
they're trying to get rid of people. At some point, you scare every lawyer that's out there who's willing to do this work. There's going to be no one left to do it. You keep starting to charge them. Guess what? There's an attorney-client privilege. I get to listen to them. And if they tell me they commit a crime, I can't tell you. Now, if they're going to commit another crime, I have to let that out of the bag. But they're trying to violate the attorney-client privilege. They're trying to violate due process.
I agree.
They're trying to diminish or dilute the Constitution.
This is, when I'm listening to the news, and people are saying, well, he's going to go against revenge. He might go after people. I'm like, isn't that exactly what we're living through?
Yeah, that's what. Isn't that
what you guys are doing right now?
Right. Now, here, what's going to make it worse if Biden's kid walks?
I think he will walk.
That's messed up. There's more evidence against him. It's his ex-wife got up there and said, "Yeah, I knew he was a coke addict and using crack."
It's an open and shut case.
Right. It's double standards.
So they're trying for jury nullification. Right. And so, but isn't that our system?
No, actually, you can. As I get barred from that in the federal courts. The government files motion after motion. You cannot argue jury nullification. You can't argue jury nullification. Of course, they can, because it's Biden's. They can do whatever they want. But yeah, it's if he walks, I bet you we're going to have another January 6th. Some form or fashion, there's going to be some rioting. It's going to happen.
Not that anybody's advocating that sort of thing.
Of course not. But I'm just
again, predicting the future is not avocation.
I understand.
No, the feds who are listening right now will take it as that.
Given this day and age, you do have to clarify. Again, and it just sucks because we're going back to everything that we're saying here before. We're talking the truth. We're sitting here taking a look at that. I'm not an attorney. I want to clarify that for everybody out there listening. But you're sitting there going, "This is beyond. This whole case is a sham." Didn't Stormy Daniels come out, write a letter saying, "Hey, none of this happened"?
Right. No,
so how and Cohen. To jail for something?
And Cohen, look at Cohen, his own lawyer, who then turns scapegoat, and now government snitch, who's making more money on this now than he ever did as a lawyer. And you got to wonder, What else is he benefiting from?
And again, it's like his juries of his peers, and the judge won't let stuff in, and the judge
I'm sorry. Wait. Jury of your peers when you're ex-president. How do you define that? What is a jury of your peers?
Francois Mitterrand.
Right. I was going to say.
Dead, though. He's dead.
No. But how do you have a jury of your peers when you're the ex-president in the state of New York? Not even a Fed court, but a state of New York.
In Manhattan, where 85%
it's all blue.
Already voted against you.
And did you hear about the judge? Judge's daughter is on the payroll. Internships, all this great stuff.
Well, he gave money to that organization. Well, it's only $30. If it's only $30, why did he do it?
Right.
I mean, it's the signal. Hey,
it's a setup. It's all a show. It's a sideshow.
But isn't.
It's a circus.
Isn't that the problem?
Yeah, because
and again, I'm going to go back to this with Trump, and again, it's in the courage, and I do think it's courage. I think it was courage in 2016, but that was more kind of a fluke almost.
Right.
He tapped into the right thing.
Right.
But now he's jumped
dead smack in the middle.
Now he's jumped in front of the parade.
Of a tornado.
Yes.
He is now a tornado.
I agree with that.
And
I love when they call it, all the chaos he brings. He brings chaos because you guys keep bringing false cases against him. And then you call, look at all these cases against him that you brought.
They were all one-sided, uninvestigated.
It's like Steve Bannon going to prison.
Right.
And Steve Bannon, again, it's to me, it's
a joke.
It's a joke.
It's a joke. It's a. I can't use the word I want to use of the Constitution. It just is just terrible what's going on.
I agree.
And guess what? It's not going to stop.
Well, you've seen Megyn Kelly how she says it's going to stop, right? The only way it's going to stop is turnabout, fair play.
Right.
Now, I've been against that.
But think about it. When Trump came in 2016, he didn't do it.
I
did not go after Hillary.
And everybody said, look at him. Everybody's saying, lock her up. But they didn't.
Right. And he did nothing to her. He left her alone. And you know what? Maybe that was the biggest mistake he made.
Maybe. But
it was the right thing to do.
It was.
But now you have no fair play.
I agree.
Leave Trump alone, run a fair election, let's see who the people want, and let's move on.
Is that what's going to happen?
No.
Well,
look, when is the sentencing set? Do you know this?
Yeah.
3 days.
4 days.
4 days right before the Republican National
Convention. And maybe they give him, he won't let him go to the National Convention.
Well, I don't think they're going to stop because he's still traveling. But even if he gets sentenced, he's going to be a self-report type.
Can you imagine that, having Trump call from jail to accept the...
Who do you think will pick up the collect call? Speaker of the House? Is it going to go to the Speaker's house? Whose cell phone are they going to call?
Yeah.
And right before he accepts it, he goes, this call will be recorded for protection of the Bureau of Prisons.
Yes.
That would just be funny.
Well, before we continue, just let's get your phone number out there so that everybody who's watching, I know we're flashing it across the screen as well too, but just to hear it come from your mouth, right? Some people are auditory learners.
He's using big words.
He's a big kid.
312-692-0360. 312-692-0360.
And he helps people in federal court. Okay.
All over the country.
And you know what? Again, lots of things always remind me of you, Nishay, but we'll go into that later.
There's some things we
can't
talk about.
But there's one about, like I just saw a video about some guys telling about a video of the FBI coming to their house and saying, hey, we want to talk to you. Yeah. What do you want to talk to me about? Well, let's just sit down and talk. It's like, if you can't even tell me what you want to talk about.
No.
So what and I know the answer to this, but I'm going to ask you the answer. What should people do if a federal agency comes to your house?
Tell them you're going to get a lawyer and don't talk to anybody. Because guess what? They're not there to help you. They're there to help themselves, trick you. And legally, they can lie to you, trick you, and tell you someone already said something. Just keep your mouth shut. Tell them I'll get a lawyer. He'll call you back, and we'll go from there.
I think what you said earlier, they know the answers to the questions they're going to ask you.
Well, no, they know the answers they want to know.
And so when you counter when you don't answer the way they...
Now you're obstructing justice, and you get charged for that.
Yeah.
Just keep your mouth shut.
There's no winning.
There's no winning.
Because that's why they're there.
That's right. They're there to get you to admit to things you probably would never admit to. Well, look at all the false confessions. They're now getting reversed. Because guess what? You lie, you beat somebody, all this stuff. There's so many false confession cases. The city of Chicago's gotten sued how many times? For false confessions or beatings and all this stuff? The feds are no different. They come in, they lie to you, they tell you, they'll say, hey, your wife just told us you did this one. They don't even know where your wife is. It's that bad. And guess what? The appellate courts have said they can do that. These ruses are legitimate.
So because it's a ruse, yes.
Right, but if you say one little thing that they construe as a lie, that's called obstruction of justice, and that's a separate charge under the federal system by itself.
What do I say? There's 1,001 reasons why you shouldn't answer the question.
Right.
Tell them why that is.
Because you don't know the answer.
No, because Section 1001
is lying to the feds.
Lying to the feds.
And there is no right answer.
And there's a crime. That's a crime.
3 years. You can serve a max of 3 years under 1001.
Is that something?
Is it? And guess what? They get to decide if you're lying. Doesn't matter what the truth is. They get to decide. And they can mess around and just, with the words you used. Or they could say, only give you a half truth. You respond to it. I don't know. Saying I don't know, they're now charging. I don't know is now
obstruction. Because you do know, so it's a lie.
Right, so just keep your mouth shut. I got nothing to say.
Call
my lawyer. Here's his number.
Call my lawyer. And if you don't have a lawyer, say, I'm going to get a lawyer.
And call somebody real quickly.
So now, I know earlier today we were speaking as you were getting over here. You said this is your second interview of the day. I don't know if you can necessarily talk about the station that you were on, but...
I have no problems talking about anything.
Awesome. Well, let's go a little bit into that. Just as a quick mention, what were you doing earlier today, and what were you talking about?
Before you go into that, I want to say, you can look up Nishay Sanan. You see him with what's her name?
Nancy Grace.
Nancy Grace. Yeah. Hey, let me tell you something, Sanan.
Shut off his mic. Cut him off.
So Nishay's been around the block here with these guys. So anyway, I wanted to put that in.
No, I've had my mic cut off by CNN and some other stations because, again, people do not want to hear the truth. Or you know what? If you have an opinion that they don't like, they don't want to hear it. Yeah. And it's all about ratings. Those shows are.
So tell us a little bit what you did earlier today.
So earlier today, I was interviewed by Fox Nation. They're covering the life and death and charges against my ex-client, or old client, now ex, John McAfee, who was eventually found dead in a prison cell, which I still think he was murdered, or as he said, I'll get esteemed. So we had about hour interview. They're going to let me know when it's going to air on Fox Nation. But yeah, they're putting together kind of a life and death of John McAfee.
He's a very incredible guy. John
he ran for president.
He was
twice.
He was an incredible guy.
He's a savant. It's what he's a savant.
And we talk about. I hate to go into this, but I'm going to mention it. The price law, which means that says we have there's a very small number of people who have large impacts on society and the way the world works, and he was one of those.
He was.
He's one of those guys who could have, and obviously could have changed, could have gone more. Right.
You never know what he could have done had the world not gone after him.
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. Who still doesn't see his name on your computer?
Yeah, well,
even though he doesn't own it anymore, it doesn't matter. McAfee shows up everywhere.
Yeah.
And then he was just, we were talking about it earlier today on the interview. They go, "What'd you think of him?" I go, "He was P.T. Barnum of his time. He was the greatest showman of his time."
See, I love that because BT, he was a showman.
He didn't think like other people.
Yeah,
he was a visionary.
I disagree. Best showman is attorney Stephen Leahy.
I wish that were true.
312-664-6649.
Because
am I running a close second at least?
P.T. Barnum knew how to bring a crowd.
You're tied 1-1.
And you know who else? Another guy who's like him, Houdini.
Right.
These guys.
They could bring people to watch and pay attention and pay.
And like Houdini, he did the same tricks everybody else did.
He just did them better.
He just brought the crowds to see him.
He did them better.
Yeah. So it's just amazing.
Look what P.T. Barnum did with Misfits, I guess, is the best way to look at it.
I just did a short on P.T. Barnum, so I just, because he's a great marketing. He's a marketing genius.
Right. But, so I actually talked for about 10 minutes comparing P.T. Barnum to John McAfee because John McAfee could pull together people from all walks of life and put them, and they'll all listen to him. They might disagree with him, but they all listen to him. So now the next step is Trump, the next P.T. Barnum. Look at the shows he's putting on. He's pulling out people out of the woodworks, some now Democrats, because of what happened to him.
Wow. So,
something to think about.
So, there's in the news today, we're Friday, June 8th. Is it June 8th?
Tomorrow's June 8th. Today's the 7th.
No, it wasn't. Yesterday was June 6th, the anniversary.
Yes. 7th. Yesterday was
yesterday was the anniversary.
Again, we remember over here at the Trust Radio Network all who have given their lives
for
not
D-Day.
just at Normandy. Again, that is just obviously June 6th, but all those who have fought under the
red, white, and blue.
So yesterday, June 6th, right? 50 Cent came out.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Phil came out. The gentleman from
It is Pride Month, so I'm not really.
the gentleman from what?
Coming out.
All right.
Okay.
It's cheap.
Okay. It was. I didn't. It went over my head.
Yeah.
The gentleman from California, who just raised $20 million for him yesterday.
I don't know who that is.
Stark. He just wrote a long piece that was published. Why he's voting for Trump, and these guys we're all anti-Trump,
right?
And now, as you said, because of what's going on,
people are getting angry. Because look, what's keeping the government from doing what they did to Trump, to doing it to one of their own?
Nothing.
Hey, look,
as you said, they've already do it to people.
Right. So why not do it to a Democrat who didn't agree with one thing? They're going to go after their own. Look, you give them that much power. It doesn't matter if you're Democrat, Republican, red, white, or blue. It does not matter. They know they can get away with it. It doesn't matter if your name's Steve Leahy, Jim Leahy, Nishay Sanan, or the Domino's pizza delivery guy. If they want you, they will get you. And now they're starting to see the backlash. Because this goes back to, remember we didn't know what our kids were learning in school until COVID?
Yeah.
Because then we had to watch it.
Yeah.
And then there was an uproar. And they tried to squall that uproar.
Yeah.
And the people won. Now they're seeing what's happening in the court systems because it's televised as to an important figure.
Yeah.
And I think the biggest problem is the backlash. And they didn't think there'd be any because they thought people hated Trump so badly.
As much as they did.
Right. And guess what? They're wrong.
They're wrong.
People.
But even if you do hate Trump, this is what gets me about a lot of this, because even if I'm a Trump hater, I can look and say, this is just wrong.
Right, and that's what's happening. Their own party is now saying, their own people in Congress are saying that was wrong. How is this a crime? That's the problem. So this is a backlash. Here's what's going to happen. They're going to have to go hide Biden in the basement again because of the backlash.
I don't know if you saw him yesterday.
The D-Day speech?
Yes.
We are a laughingstock. Our country, in every, I travel internationally for work and for fun. It goes, oh, you're an American. And then
sometimes both.
At the same time. But we are a laughingstock. I mean, people make fun of us and our politics and our country and how we treat our politicians. And, all this civil war that's going on in this country, which I think is going to get worse. I don't care who wins. I think there's going to be another civil war.
I think it has to. There does come a time.
I don't necessarily know if that's the truth or not. I mean, there is definitely a cultural civil war, and there's definitely, if you take a look at how people break things down, talking about, one of the main things, except your client, John McAfee, yes, he was taken out, but generally you don't have to go forward and, kill people. It comes down to it's character.
But it's character assassination, right? But think about it. You don't have to kill somebody, but if you shut them up, what's the difference?
There is a line, okay, that is being crossed.
Oh, it's been crossed.
And you have to say, am I a constitutionalist or am I not? The men in Normandy
fought for
the Constitution.
Right.
Right? How many of those men that were there yesterday voiced their displeasure of what's going on in America?
All of them.
Yes.
85%.
85%. And after all they did, they're like, well, look at what's happening.
Right.
Okay. So let's talk a little bit about that. Could D-Day happen today?
Definitely.
Do we have the manpower and the courage and the people to do what they did?
No, you know what's going to happen? People are going to run the other way. Because why are they going to fight for a country that's screwing them over? I mean, think about the unloyal people now because of what politics has created. People are not loyal to the U.S. anymore. They live here. I mean, if I had the opportunity, I don't know if I'd stay here much longer.
Where can you go?
Well, find someplace better.
I don't know if there's a place better.
The question is this place good enough?
Well, it's not good enough.
No, it's not. It's not what it was when we were young.
It's not good enough. And that's where my point is, okay? If you're a constitutionalist, we don't have to accept it. And I'm not talking about Civil War.
No, but we are.
But we can object.
But we're not. Not enough people.
I think Trump came up with something yesterday that I just thought was good because he's P.T. Barnum.
Right, he is.
What do you say about the numbers? I have to remember.
I don't remember the numbers.
He said we had to be too much for for the hoax or I'll think of it in but he had a good one of those rhymes about because we have to have so many votes that it overwhelms.
Right. It's got to be showing. It's got to be an overwhelming showing of how corrupt this country has become. I mean, think about it. Steve, you're an attorney. Mm-hmm. We went to law school. We learned about the Constitution. We learned about the law and how, we're the land of the free. Are we really the land of the free anymore? Are we? Now think about it.
This really gets me too. And there was two attorneys on Trump's
team.
On the jury.
Right.
Okay.
Corporate lawyers. Two corporate lawyers.
But they're still lawyers.
But they're Democrats.
Yeah, but even Democrats have to say, if I'm a lawyer, I took an oath.
They didn't follow the Constitution. They didn't.
So am I supposed, because I hate them so much, it doesn't matter?
Well, think about it. How do you as a lawyer not know what reasonable doubt is? Or proof beyond, remember, this is a criminal trial. It's proof beyond a reasonable doubt.
There's not fathomable that there was no reasonable doubt.
Now, did you hear this 13th juror, one of the backup jurors, is now coming out and saying what was going on?
No.
So it just came out. I didn't get to hear the whole thing because it was late last night and I had this other show this morning. But now they're talking about the 13 jurors coming out and saying that there was issues with the jury when they weren't even supposed to be talking about the case. Because remember, the judge instructs you, do not talk about the evidence or the case
until you're in the jury room.
Until you're in the jury room and all 12 of you are together. Don't talk about it separately. Don't talk amongst yourselves. Don't tell your families. It's the admission that they get every day when they leave jury duty. Here's the other thing. Why wasn't that jury sequestered? They sequester all these other... OJ's jury was sequestered. How is Trump's jury not sequestered? Do you know how much influence
they had
peddling?
I know.
There was already a conviction.
I know.
That whole trial wasn't a trial.
I'm going to have to get Jimmy to be more of a Jamie, from Joe Rogan.
Oh.
So when I have a question that he can answer it for me.
I'll do my best.
But you are better looking.
I just learned how to use the software.
Yeah, but you know how to research on Google about what Trump did.
I have it. I have
your Alphono.
I have the phone.
Yeah. So look at
an Apple.
Look at the what I was talking about. He came up with the hoax or the whatever you said.
You have to have a coherent question for me to look.
No,
it was from his speech.
It's about about having more votes. You have to have so many votes that you overcome whatever that is.
Right.
What do you call when you?
Yeah. Hold on.
I sense confusion. We're rusty from our first show back.
I understand.
It happens.
I have to get it to him. I have to make sure he's got the tools.
I don't know what the hell do you want me to look up? Like Trump questions?
No, Trump's quote about voting. Overturning something or something. I don't remember what it was.
Yeah, we don't even know what we're talking about. So it's like, you know what I'm saying?
It'll come to him after the next show.
Yes, it will.
Yeah, I know.
Wait, let's talk about are you going to go back to weekly?
What did they call? Yes.
Okay.
What did they call because they took over the vote, right? Because it was not a hoax. It was anyway. Yes, I am going to go weekly. I don't know if we got something next week. I have like Mary Cole, who's running for state's attorney here in Lake County. She's agreed to do the show. When she's going to do the show, I don't know.
When she's free.
But I've met her several times. She's terrific, and I want her on the show. We're going to get Andy Dalkin, who's running for county board here in this district, my district here, and he's a friend of mine.
My soon-to-be ex-district. I'm leaving.
I know you are.
I'm leaving for warmer pastures and crazier politics.
California. That's it.
You do see me down there?
No.
How many people do you think I'll piss off in the first week?
You know what I've heard about California is that there's still a lot of conservatives. It's like Chicago, right? Chicago's got a lot of conservatives. Right. We just don't have any power.
Right, we don't have enough.
Yeah,
there's not enough.
So and I just did this. Cigar night with 560 with Dennis Prager, and I got to say a couple words, and I did ask the crowd who is the first time you've been to a 560 event. There's probably 300 people or more there.
Right.
And about half the crowd raised their hand. And I told them, look around, okay? These are your friends.
Your peers.
Okay? You thought you were the only one. You're not the only one. And too many of us here in Illinois had just kind of thrown up our hands and said,
there's not enough of us.
I'm not going to do anything. So you don't vote, you don't get involved. And so and this is what I kind of said at the cigar night. do something local.
Right.
Look at
Try
your board. Look at your school board. Look at the county. That's why I want Danny Dolkin in. Look at the county, the county guys going. Look at the librarian even. Whoever is elected.
Even if librarians elected?
Sometimes in some places.
In our district?
Not in ours. I don't.
Because I'd run for that.
But there are. You'd lose.
I know. I probably would.
Well, Lake County used to be a red state like my tie, but now it's.
Well, I'd bring back.
That's a blue state.
I'd bring back the card catalog if I had a choice. How can you not teach a kid how to use a card catalog? That was life.
I agree.
Well, when I was in law school, it was still the card catalog.
Yes.
Wait to learn how to. We weren't allowed to use electronic research the first year.
Not the first year.
Right.
They told me. When you go out working, they won't let you use it. It's so damn expensive.
I do hate to butt in here, but do you just kind of want to follow up with that whole John McAfee? Is that case still ongoing?
No, so the criminal cases are done because once there's a death, the case gets dismissed. So he was found technically not guilty because they dismissed the cases. So what happens now is my understanding, I don't even know if they've ever resolved the issue of who got the body. Because last I had heard that Janice, his ex-wife, and then his one daughter, who is actually on paper legitimately his daughter, were both fighting over the remains. So I don't know what's happened. Ever since the cases closed, both in Tennessee and New York, I kind of stepped back because I wasn't involved in trying to get the body back. I helped out when I could, but I have not been in touch with the families, either side, for quite a long time. So for my part, it's closed. I know there was an autopsy, which I've seen bits and pieces of, which I don't believe. And you know what? The bad thing is we'll never know the truth. We will never know the truth of what happened in that prison cell.
Is this like Epstein? It's
Nishay, and this kind of goes back to, we've had John before. We've had interviews before, and I think it's amazing kind of what the kind of high profile cases that you deal with. Kind of go into a little bit here about I know you've talked about people that have been accused of smuggling in drug, how many, what the CIA and what the FBI lets into the country.
Right, they have to. I mean, think about it. Our economy would fail if drug money did not circulate. Because think about the GDP, right? I think 35 to 40% is drug money.
No.
Yeah. Think about it. You don't think, look, they know when you're in the bathroom through heat seeking and all that stuff, right? You don't think they don't know when a couple 50 kilos are coming in an avocado truck across the border? You don't think they're just going after one truck out of every 100? If they don't let that in, your economy fails. Now, this stat, 98% of all cash has been touched by drugs. So then think about it.
I've seen that.
So
I also saw someone that a former border control. He said they bought him for one day a month.
Right.
He had to let the trucks in one day a month.
Right? Because they have to.
He got like $10,000.
Right. But think about this.
For one day a month.
Take that money out of the stream. Just think of the crash you would have in the United States financially. Because what is the biggest industry? Drugs.
I don't know if it's the biggest industry.
What's bigger?
I guess
Amazon.
I guess drugs in general.
In general.
And of course that what has that done? It's corrupted our government.
Right.
Because now we're selling reefer to people.
Well, okay, look.
We're selling.
You legitimize that for tax purposes, which I get, because they've always said, reefer and marijuana is not as bad as everything else, and it's no different than alcohol. Fine. But how much meth is coming in from China? Yeah. And guess what? It's coming in with your TVs. Yeah. It's coming with everything. They have the technology to stop. I'll give you a prime example related to one of my January 6th cases, and I won't mention names. Facial recognition can pinpoint. You don't even need a passport anymore. So the airlines are starting to, but the cruise terminals have been on facial recognition for over a year now. A client of mine came off a cruise, and all of a sudden, I've seen the facial recognition. I walked and looked back because I wanted to see what's going on. Square goes over your face, and information shows up right underneath your picture, right? He got flagged for being one of the people who hit a cop at January 6th based on facial recognition. So they took the people that had camera on January 6th, gave it to passport control. They catch you coming in and out of the country, even if you're a U.S. citizen. Remember, U.S. citizens are under this scrutiny. He got taken to a side room. They started asking about January 6th. And they said, we know you were there. We know you hit this guy. Here's video of it. Cues up, right based on face. So you're telling me the federal government doesn't know when a truck of avocados contains 50 to 100 kilograms of drugs? I say poo-poo on that. Because they do. They know every single time. They know you're sitting on the toilet. They know how many guns are in your house.
It's so sad about and when you think about what they do know, and the pipe bombs on January 6th, that they can't figure out who's the guy that.
Right. Come on. No. It's.
The guy drops 2 bombs at both headquarters.
Right.
And they don't know who he is.
And yet they can facial. And yet every person who got charged, they have 12 different angles of cameras
in every trial. Or the guy here in Chicago, the fake guy here in Chicago, when they followed his 2 accomplices via cameras all the way home,
and then talk to them. Come on, they know what's going on, because you gotta realize some people still think January 6th was a democratic.
Many believe that. Yes.
I mean, look, there's all the conspiracy theories in the world. Whatever it was, they have it on camera, but they're not going to release it. Because I remember going to trial, they had 15 different cameras of my guy in and out, his sister in and out. They have them all the way from the Trump rally walking.
You could follow them.
Right. So you're telling me now they can't find the pipe bombers? Come on. It's a joke. It's it's the 3 monkeys. See no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil. Yeah. When you're in power, you get that right.
Yeah. But even when sometimes when you're in power, you don't get the right.
Well, they try.
I'm talking about Trump.
Right.
Would they use the power of the government against him while he was president?
Right. They tried to. Impeachments and all this other stuff.
Well, they did.
Inquiries.
I was always this idea.
The Bolsheviks would be.
I always had this idea
with how much control and power.
No, well, when I always had this about, I was always a guy. Lee Harvey Oswald did it himself.
Right.
But the more I see what's going on in our country, the more I'm
questioning
skeptical.
it now.
I'm questioning. I never questioned it. And I read the books Who Shot Kennedy, and I saw the evidence, and I'm like, nah, it was Lee Harvey Oswald. But the more I am aware of
back and see what's going on now, you got to question the past.
Everything. Everything.
But you got to realize something. Okay, and I love this line: history is written by the winner.
Yes.
There is no other version of history, but there is 2 sides to everything.
Exactly right.
But guess who writes it? The winner. And you know what? Or the people who have enough power to cover it up.
And everything you did was virtuous.
Right. That's a big word for you too.
Yeah. Well,
did we learn that in law school?
I did go to law school.
Did we learn that in law school, or did we learn that in Catholic school?
From Catholic.
I think that's a Catholic school thing for us. But no, it's gotten to the point of we will I remember back in the day when they used to call it the conspiracy theory. I don't think it's a conspiracy theory anymore.
It kind of goes back to the 60 hippies.
Right.
Question everything.
Right. And you know what? Then maybe we'll find out the truth.
But now the 60 hippies aren't questioning anything. Because they're running everything.
Well, yeah, that's what I was going to say. They're in power now.
Yeah.
Back then, they weren't in power. They were overlooked. Now they're the ones in power. It goes back to my favorite saying about Criminal Investigation Division IRS agents. They're the guys who got beat up and now they got guns.
Yes.
And they can come to your house and retribution.
Yes.
That's what it is. You give power.
It's just wild that we're even sitting here at times going, aliens did it. And years ago that was great, but now it's like, the government comes down and goes, we shot down a UFO over
or the balloons.
Alaska. It's like, what did you, what? It's like, we shot it down, we're retrieving it. Well, whatever came about that.
Like, let me ask you this question. Let's go back to that. How does a balloon from North Korea or Russia?
From China.
Well, we know where it came from, but it was it had a sign that says "With love, Russia." I think the Chinese put that sign on there. How does it even get into our airspace?
Here's the thing: they knew it was in there.
Right.
They know everything.
Again, why did it take 5 days to shoot it down? How safe do you feel?
But they didn't shoot it down in 5 days. They waited until it was over the Atlantic.
Right.
It went through over the whole continent.
How safe do you feel? They probably know how many drugs are coming into our country now, China. Because they don't even know where to send the meth.
I think they're also helping because it's the opium wars all back at us.
Right. It is.
And that's just the way things work. I question everything now.
You have to.
And I wonder how important it is. Let's ask that question. How important it is that we are a free people. Is that important anymore?
Well, first you got to put an asterisk. Are we a free people?
No,
are we a free people?
I'm asking. I'm not asking if we are or not because I'm thinking we're not.
Right.
But is it important that we should be?
Well, don't we go back to our Constitution?
Absolutely.
Or are we going to go back to British rule? Wasn't this all created because we fought British rule?
Isn't this the Western
version?
the Western ethos, about the Judeo-Christian ethics, about what it is to be a human being.
Right. But no, here's my question. Is this really a democratic country or is it a dictatorship? Run by, what was that old movie back in the day with the 12 Star Chamber, right? The Star Chamber were the 12 people who made all the cabal, whatever you want to call it. It's the cabal. All the important people make all the important decisions for all of us. We have no say.
I was talking about this earlier with someone else today, because I was talking about the internet, and we were talking about AI and how, is that going to free us, or is it going to trap us more? Because I remember when the internet, 95, through 2000, and you started seeing, and that, the Wild West, you could learn anything about anything, and everybody was up. There was no censor of any website.
And now?
And I thought, this is going to be freedom. This is going to give us the freedom.
Exact opposite.
And just the opposite happened.
Exactly.
There's less control. There's less diversity now than ever before.
Well, but the thing about let's just call it spies in your life now. The federal government knows everything you do. Google, Alexa, your car, iPass. Think about it. An iPass tracks where you are all the time, right?
All the time.
Even if you had an old 71 Chevy pickup truck that has no electronics in it, right? Maybe an AM/FM radio, but none of this onboard, GPS, all that stuff. You got to put an iPass in there, because you got to pay $7 just to go through. Hey, you know now where you are. I had this conversation with a friend of mine who was in town. You've met them. They've been to some of my parties. They're going to go buy a 1961 Chevy, what are they, the Comanche trucks, the old pickups, and restore it because it has no electronics. Nothing to be tracked.
But again, and you think that it'll save you, but it won't.
It won't. Someone will walk underneath, stick a tracking device, and the government will know where you're at again.
And they'll make it mandatory that you have to have it.
Right. And who got in trouble? Google got in trouble, or Alexa, one of them, because they were recording stuff when it was supposed to be off. They
do it all the time.
Yeah, they do. I mean, look.
That's always everybody's had that experience where you were just talking about something.
Well, here's something else you gotta realize.
And then you see the ad.
Well, so here comes my conspiracy. Well, that's true. But here's my conspiracy theory even further. Remember back in the day, you could take the batteries out of a cell phone, so no one can listen to you, right? Guess what you can no longer do? Take the battery out of a cell phone.
It's true.
Oh, I mean, that is already known. There's several prominent podcasts out there where they have had CIA operatives or IT guys coming on going, hey, it doesn't matter if your phone's off. They could
they know
everything. Still listen.
It listens to everything. Everything.
And everybody says, well, they don't care about me.
Oh, no, they care about you.
The thing is that it's all back. They don't have to care about you today.
Yeah,
they'll care about you tomorrow and then go back.
Well, look at Snowden.
Yes.
NSA and Snowden. He had the cojones to release it. Would we know about this otherwise? No. We'd still probably not know what the federal government was doing to us.
We still don't know.
No, but at least we got a little bit of an insight, right?
And of course they call him a conspiracy theorist.
Right.
It's all a lie.
It's
all a lie.
And what's his name who posted it all? Who's still living inside the embassy? Assange. He's still living inside of an embassy for the last 15 years now, because they want him for treason, which means death penalty.
I don't know if he's still living in there. I think he was caught.
No, he's caught, but no, they won't extradite him.
I think he's in England.
No, I thought he's in jail.
No,
my understanding he's still in an embassy. I could be wrong.
Look that up.
Because they just talked about working some deal out to bringing him back here if they agree not to kill him.
Not to kill him.
But then what's he gonna do? He'll get axed in prison just like Epstein and McAfee and everybody else was. He'll be on the Clinton list. 28 for 29 people missing.
Yeah.
Is he locked up, or is he?
Assange has been incarcerated in HM prison Belmarsh in London since April 2019, as the United States government's extradition effort is contested in the British courts.
So it's just he's been sitting around.
No, he's in jail.
No, but sitting around waiting to see what. Well, obviously Britain's not extraditing him. You got to wonder why. They haven't entered an order to extradite him. You wonder why.
Well, everything makes you wonder why.
Where's Snowden then? Is Snowden in Russia? He's in Russia, isn't he?
Yeah, he's in Russia.
That's what I thought. They
did that interview with Joe Rogan. And that
right. They gave him asylum in Russia, didn't they?
Yes, and they're trying to.
He's walking around. He's not locked up.
No, he's fresh as a daisy out there.
Good for him. Good for him. I got to listen to that Joe Rogan interview. We need to get Joe on the show. We should make some calls.
Oh, I might get a couple views if I got Joe Rogan.
We got one view because of me. One of my kids is probably watching.
Joe Rogan. I had a guy from church this morning said he was going to get in. So,
hey.
But again, if anybody gets inkling of this great conversation that we have
great conversation.
This is all important stuff.
I think we should go on the road with this, though.
We are kind of on the road. We're in YouTube and.
Well, no, I mean, like we should go do a live show from the nail salon downstairs.
I'm actually good. I'm actually game for that.
I
like live stuff. That's why
such an interesting monster. As you said.
Yeah, it's really a little. These people be doing our nails. The conspiracy. They'll be looking at us going.
Well, here's the thing. I think people think this. Right, and again, I think the polls by going to Trump show you what people think. Right, that they do. People are
concerned.
People are a lot like me, and they're saying, I used to buy this stuff.
Nishay, if you want to take this on the road, you can just go to Pirate Island, which is Rosati's, because all those conversations over there.
Yeah, that's true. We should just record it all.
I know.
The government already knows what we're talking about when we're over there.
I was telling that to my attorney over here,
Uncle Steve.
Uncle
Stevesy.
Yeah, if you can't tell, Jim Leahy, Stephen Leahy. Yeah,
it comes out of the blue, Jim.
Yeah, I know. It slaps you in the face. But I was like, this is like the island of Tortuga. We're sitting there
talking conspiracy.
I don't know what the Tortuga.
There's an island. I've been there.
It's from Pirates of the Caribbean.
Okay. Hey, I've been there. I've been to Disneyland.
I try not to watch movies. You know why I don't watch movies?
Why?
They'll just make more.
That's true. Well, there's 6 versions.
You're a movie guy, though.
I'm a movie buff.
Yeah, I know.
Well, there's certain movies I like The Joker, Greatest Showman.
I never saw it.
Greatest Showman. Pixels is my favorite. Did you ever see Pixels?
No, never saw it.
Oh, Adam Sandler is great about these aliens. They catch our time capsule, and in there it says we're going to war, and they send down all these old Atari video game characters to come after us. It's great. It is great.
Never saw it. Never even heard of it.
It's one of those movies where after 5 beers, not that you would ever have 5 beers.
I never stop at 5.
I was going to say you got to be able to use the cable remote.
It's 2 or 100. That's my limit.
Right. Yeah,
I can have 2, but I can't after that.
Yeah. So you got to watch Pixel. It's a great movie. And funny thing is, they make fun of power. They make fun of power who thinks you have to use power to fix it, and then you have these guys who are nobody but video game champs who are able to solve the problem. So guess what? Open it up. Let everybody a chance. Power is not always going to fix power. Sometimes power causes more corruption.
We all know that it does.
Right.
And this is really, again, as an attorney, mm-hmm. right? You fight that. You protect people, and is that how you feel about it? I always like to ask attorneys, what do you think about the work that you do?
You know what? I think the biggest problem is there's just not enough people doing it. Because, look, as you said, you can make a difference by doing it. You need more people doing it and more people understanding that there is a constitution still. You may not think it exists anymore, but it's still there. We still have certain rights, right? The Bill of Rights. We can't even call them the commandments anymore, can we? People used to call them the commandments, right? They were very strict, and these were your rights. Our framers of the Constitution said we need to protect ourselves from tyranny. Guess where we're at? Back at tyranny. If more people started protecting the Constitution, I don't think we'd have this many problems.
I am 100% in agreement with that. And that's why I am a constitutionalist.
Right.
That's why I consider myself a constitutionalist. I want to reinvigorate the Constitution of the United States. And you know what I'm called for that?
What?
Insurrectionist.
Or communist.
Well, I can't.
We can use the word insurrection now, can't we?
I don't know.
We got in trouble last time.
But I am called an insurrectionist.
No, of course, because you believe in the Constitution.
Because I believe in the Constitution.
You believe in your rights.
And I believe that, and again, like we talk about the January 6th committee and how what they just did to Peter Navarro and Steve Bannon, and that committee was not even a legitimate committee.
Right?
What do you mean it wasn't? They didn't have any minority representation. What do you mean? Liz Cheney and Adam Kinzinger went on. It's like, but
there's your minority panel.
But they weren't appointed by the minority, right? The leadership didn't put them in charge.
The people in charge put them in charge.
They picked them out of the group and put them
because they knew it was a rubber stamp.
And so that's right there is not.
No.
It's not a legitimate. So how can they give out legitimate subpoenas? And so if I don't answer your subpoena, it's not legitimate.
Right. I'm going to jail.
How can you put me in jail?
But yet the Democrats won't answer the Republicans' subpoenas, in relation to this special counsel finding that Biden's a nut job.
Yeah.
Why? It's double standard.
Well, this is I saw Merrick Garland talk about. Well, that's a different situation.
How is it different?
It's always different.
It's different. Well, yeah, 'cause when your party's in trouble,
right? Well, it's like attorneys, right? You argue the facts or argue the law, right?
Or you argue nothing because
no facts, because the facts are never exactly.
Exactly.
They're analogous, but they're not exact.
Nothing's ever the same.
So it's a totally different situation.
Of course.
It's crazy.
Biden's too dumb to face charges, but he can run our country. Now, how do people buy that crap? He's okay to run the country,
I know,
but he's too dumb to stand criminal charges, or he's too.
That he's just senile. That he's just beyond
coherent.
The guy can't speak.
He's not
he
coherent.
He literally shit his pants yesterday. Did you see that at Normandy? He was.
I think he was trying to sit down.
No. I've been there. That's the pose of shitting.
You crapped your pants?
I
it could have been the airplane food on Air Force One.
But he was 100%. Come on.
Oh, let me tell you.
I have now, as a large gentleman who eats garbage. Okay, I will tell you that I have been in that pose. Yikes!
You
recently?
No.
You can use bad language. Doesn't mean you have to.
I think you should.
Sometimes
you got to get your point across.
I put that in my newsletter the other day. I used the shit. I said it's a shit show, and somebody, one of my clients, texted me. I'm telling Mom you used a bad word, and I said I had texted back and told him, well, sometimes. You got. Sometimes that word is the only word you can.
Right.
So that's the word that describes it, and anything else just doesn't capture it.
It doesn't give.
So sometimes you have to use it, and I'm just the way it is.
So here, let's sum it up. Our government is a shit show.
It is.
Politics right now in the U.S. is a shit show.
Okay, well let me ask you this: where isn't it?
Where isn't it as broadcasted as it is here?
Well, again, I think
we make ourselves a public spectacle.
I agree with that.
That's the difference. Look, every country's got its problems, right? Every country's a shit show.
And they're all crooked, just like we are. And I don't think we're any better than them.
About them.
I shouldn't say that. I do think we're better than them.
But how often do you hear about their shit shows?
Never.
They keep it internal.
Yeah.
Ours is like they want it out there because it's a political way to win, and it's not working. So here's my question to you: what do you think this third-party candidate's going to do?
They're going. You talk about JFK Jr. I think it's first off, I think if he starts taking too much from the Democrats, he'll sit down.
Robert. It's Robert
Kennedy. RFK.
RFK.
Or whatever his name.
I don't know if he's going to.
Whatever his initials.
I don't know if he's.
I don't know if he is, but I'm a conservative. Okay, and my kids start talking about because because there's a lot of people, and a lot of people don't want to vote for Trump, don't want to vote for Biden, and think, well, there's a third guy, he's better, but he's a liberal Democrat.
He is. He's a little more right swinging.
A little bit,
but not.
We used to call those Democrats,
right?
Real
Democrats.
Yeah, we used to call them
not
Democrats,
leftists,
and so, but they're still Democrats.
Right. No, I agree.
But if any of the touch, he's for abortion up till 9 months and all of that. So for me, I can't go there.
He's a second Democratic candidate.
Yes.
But who's he going to hurt? That's
the question. That's a good question.
Who is he going to hurt in the long run?
First off,
he's not even on the ballot.
I think that Trump again is making these inroads not because of Trump, although again. It's the courage he's showing is really part of it, right? Is I think it's attracting to people to say, here's a guy, and I think we can all agree that it's not fair,
right?
And he's whining about. What, you're trying to put him in prison for 95 years. He shouldn't whine about it.
Right before the convention.
He shouldn't even say anything
right
about
before
it.
the convention.
This is ridiculous. It's like I said earlier.
Remember, they tried to gag him, but Stephen Cohen get out there and say whatever the hell he wants on his podcast.
Yes.
Why wasn't there a gag order against Cohen?
And aren't gag orders designed to protect the defendant?
Yeah, and the jury system and the jury.
Not the judge
or the prosecutors
or the prosecutors. It's like what are you talking about?
Again, let's just call it what it was, a shit show.
Yeah.
That whole trial. Well, look what happened in Atlanta. The appellate court says, yeah, we're not going to trial right now. We're going to relook into this thing because they said this judge may be wrong. This woman may have to recuse herself. 100% she should have.
100%. She perjured herself. He perjured himself. And that's not even a question.
No.
But of course he did.
So you and I do that, we lose our licenses immediately.
I heard some all of these things that people do.
We'd lost our license.
We'd be in jail.
We'd be doing our show from jail.
and now I defend my client, and I give a good defense. They don't like my defense. I go to they're taking away my license.
Right. Because
you can't defend Trump. That's the undefensible. Isn't everybody entitled to a defense?
Not anymore. Because there are persecutions. Remember, we're back to the days of what we fought for. Independence, freedom.
Yeah.
It's a tyranny.
Yeah.
This has become a tyranny. And this is how this country is going to be for a very long time. Yeah. Doesn't matter who's in power.
Yeah.
I don't think it matters who's in power the next 8 years.
Well, I think it matters in this sense. We keep going the route we're going. We got to have someone put some sort of stop to it.
But who?
Right. Again, Trump is the only guy that's out there that can do it.
Right.
Right. So without him, that's why I think it matters. That's why I think it matters.
No, it does matter, but it's still going to be more of a shit show.
Yeah. And then, of course, he's a lame duck the day he takes over.
Right.
So what does that give him more power or less?
Yeah. Well, they always say lame duck has less power because
you have less influence. But then he doesn't really care what goes on.
Right. He'll just you know what he can do it. If Biden did executive order after executive order. Why not? If Biden can do it. What was the one they just said was illegal? He just signed an executive order on immigration.
Yeah.
Oh, we're going to let in 5,000 people instead of 100,000 people a day. They're still illegal. So why are we letting them in?
And again, when a man can 4 years later say, "Oh, I can do this," it's like for 3 years you've been telling us you couldn't.
Right.
How does that work?
Right. It's double standards. But here's my theory. Did you hear the theory of now why they're letting in all these people? For redistricting. To get more additional congressmen.
I know that.
You're going to get additional congress people.
Okay, so this is the whole thing. Okay, and it's happening in Europe.
Right.
It's happening here. It's
happening everywhere.
It's all about using our own system against us.
Right. Getting more congress people.
And you getting our own system. Well, how can we do that? Let more people in.
Right, and then they're going to vote Democratic, and you get more Democratic.
Look at London.
Look, we're going to flood Chicago with people. That means there's a new district, new congressman, Democratic, obviously.
More Illinois people, more Illinois congressmen.
Well, guess what? More votes.
Yep.
The swing in votes just based on letting in illegals. But that's pretty sad that's what our country
I do agree, and you probably agree with me. I don't blame them for coming.
Oh, I don't have a problem with them trying. But what's this open border stuff?
Well, let me ask you this, you were kind of. Let me ask you this about deportation.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what do you think will happen? Should we deport people?
Yeah.
I'm in agreement with you.
If they're here illegally, look, go back to the Trump days, right? You want asylum, fine, apply. Stay there and apply. Isn't that how
follow the rules?
That's how my family came over.
This is what it's called, the law. Follow. We're supposed to be the rule of law.
Yeah, and we're not.
And we don't. Only some.
Right.
Only those that they want us that are into their benefit.
It's the entitlement. It's the entitlement of the people who need something to happen.
Again.
But think about it. Look, my family came over from India legally. They got their visas. They came over hardworking. So why are we just letting everybody in? And guess who's coming in? The Chinese with the meth, the Russian spies, and they wonder why this country is not safe anymore.
I know. Trump's talking about Venezuela and having a lot of criminals. That happens to be the truth.
No, it is very true.
Why should they put people in prison when they can just send them over here?
Well, Australia. That's how Australia was formed, wasn't it?
Absolutely.
It was a prison country.
Absolutely.
But here's my favorite thing. What was on the news yesterday? I listened to the news on my 2-hour commute because of construction, even though I live 30 miles away. They were talking about how everybody's pissed off at Panama because all these immigrants are coming into Panama and Panama's just shipping here. Like, wait a minute. Aren't we doing the same thing? Let them come in? So why are you pissed at Panama?
I agree.
I agree. It's what fits the narrative for the day.
Well, here's the thing, Nishay. I could talk to you all day.
We could.
And I probably will, but we probably shouldn't stream all of that. But we're going to stream again.
And again, we want to really thank you for coming out here, sitting down, giving us the insight into Pat McAfee, right? That was one of or Pat McAfee. That's his cousin, John.
And there's Jimbo too.
Yeah, there's Jimbo.
Jimbo McAfee. He made the virus, the antivirus.
I'm doing 9 different things at once. But hey, listen, I just want you to get your number out there one more time. Let everybody know who you are. Your website as well too.
Website is sananlaw.com. Nishay Sanan, federal criminal defense, securities fraud, healthcare fraud. All over the country now, and actually internationally, because I've been involved in these extraditions now.
Awesome.
So 312-692-0360, 312-692-0360.
So
And I just want to say I appreciate for me being the first one back on your first show again. It's just like being a virgin again.
It is. Kiss for the very first time.
That's right.
I do want to. Now you interrupted me.
I did. Your train of thought's gone.
Yeah, I know it is, and I'm turning red.
It happens.
Because I'm blushing.
Hold on, let me touch your knee. Put my hand on your knee. Is that sexual harassment?
Only if I'm harassed by it.
But you liked it.
But I did like it. So. I want to say thanks so much for coming.
I appreciate it.
I always have so much fun having you on. And, of course, I can go on for hours and hours. And I could be like the Joe Rogan, and we could do it. But we won't. I won't keep you. I know you got things to do.
It's Friday.
I know.
It's Friday.
You know what I do on Friday.
I know. I had to drink 2 beers.
At least 2.
At least 2. You know what? So. If you have less than 100, watch Pixels.
I will do that.
It's a great movie.
Well, again, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, before you cut off, Jim, okay. I want to mention this show. I think that we use our set here it has grown.
It's cozy.
Yeah, it is cozy. I agree with that, and I want to encourage people, if you give us some comments, tell me what you think about the set, about Nishay. Of course, we all know what.
Looking handsomer than ever.
Better than ever, yes.
Ever.
We'd love to have him on, and thanks so much.
I think you should also put out there if someone wants to be a guest on your show to reach out.
If you're an attorney, because
right. I get it.
I'm trying to focus on attorneys. Although I've had other
some politicians
attorneys.
on.
I had the gentleman Gutman, who was a cryptocurrency guy.
I remember that, yeah.
And I actually had him on a couple months ago, before on the last version of the show, and he was a great guest. He's a good guest, but of course that was remote. And I'm trying to focus more on only because I have so much more fun with her. And I didn't ask you many of the questions that I wanted to ask about that because we got so involved in.
We always end up on our own conversation
on current events,
happenings.
And so, and of course, I keep watching this stuff, and it reminds me so much of you. And it's like we got to get his opinion.
Well, I'll get back. I'll get back here.
So
we'll do this again. I appreciate you guys having me on.
Thanks so much. Appreciate it.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Again, thanks so much for tuning in. You can tune in every Friday. We are going to be able to get you guys that great content that we know and love, great guests. But remember, Open Tax Advocates is there for you, 312-664-6649, or visit ChicagoTaxTeam.com.